Welcome to the Three Moons, Three Souls podcast with host Jacqueline Burke. Today's special guest is Lindsay Perry.
Welcome, Lindsay. Thank you for joining our podcast today. How are you?
I'm well, and thank you for having me.
Oh, good. So on our podcast, we like to start by diving back into our childhood a bit and just kind of revisiting those times. So, what was your favorite childhood memory?
Um, what comes to mind very quickly is fishing. I used to do a lot of fishing with my dad, brother, and my grandpa.
Oh, nice.
Occasionally, when one of my great uncles would come in, he was out of standard character in our family, and you would go fishing with the whole, and he would say, "We're gonna catch a fish this big," and you didn't catch anything that day. But it was all worth the experience and the laugh.
Ah, well, that's nice. So who inspired you as a child?
Um, oh, that's a good one. I would say my dad and my grandma were some of the people who inspired me the most. I did spend a lot of time with both of them, so it does make sense. Um, I spent a lot of time learning homesteading skills from
Oh,
both of them in gardening and canning and cooking from scratch and all of the things. So they were probably my biggest inspirations in my day-to-day life. And I used to love poetry.
oh, nice.
Um, so poetry, it was like this huge thing for me in high school. I was really good, and I'm published in a poetry book that's based in the UK. And
That's-
so anyone who is a poet and could really I could really find relatable was very inspiring to drive myself more.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I'm a songwriter with my husband and our partner in the US, and so I love poetry. You get
I
some,
love that.
yeah, best lyrics from, writing poems. That's how they really start actually, good songs. So yeah, that's cool. So tell me more about like homesteading, and was it like how people look at off or sorry, living off grid?
So we aren't off grid,
Oh,
not in the standard sense of off grid living, but when you think about homesteading in like for us,
yeah.
it's getting back to the roots that have been kind of pushed aside, like getting into the food preservation, growing your own animals, maintaining your property in a way like to create food forests and abundance in those relationships with all of the microorganisms and ecosystems in your property. And so, like, I was raised around cows and pigs and chickens and all of this stuff. But and gardening,
Yeah.
like we live on what was my grandparents' farm, and there's well-established fruit trees and garden beds and berry bushes and all the things. And we started out in 2021 when we moved back, just getting chickens.
Oh, wow.
And if you know anything about chicken math, it doesn't just end with a couple chickens. We now have 47 and six goats
Oh my.
and four bunnies.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. Well, where I grew up, there's a lot of farming and then a lot of cows and pigs. And my grandma had chickens, and they used to chase me she'd say, "Go get the eggs out of the hen house," and I'd try, and they'd chase me all over the place. But didn't work out that well. So
Yeah.
fun memories to have for you, I would imagine. Did your grandma teach you like to do all the baking and like pies and stuff using the fruit and different?
Yeah. So Um, my great grandma, who's actually on my maternal side, used to be like the pastry queen of our
Oh,
family. So I inherited the ability to make a solid pastry, like a
oh,
fantastic
nice.
pastry. But my grandma on my paternal side, who's very much alive and with us every week,
Oh,
we do a lot of baking and cooking together still to this day. And she's definitely like the inspiration to try new things.
yeah.
I did do baking and everything with my mom as well, but my mom worked a lot. to
Yeah.
help support our family through my childhood. So I don't have quite as many memories as I would have liked to, but I did have somebody who was willing and able to step in and guide me as I needed that extra guidance.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's very good. You're lucky to have had that. I find learning from grandparents, you're gaining all that wisdom. And
I couldn't agree more.
yeah, it's fantastic. Um, so what did you want to be when you were a little girl?
A nurse.
A nurse?
A nurse, yeah, an LPN specifically. And I did go to school for it.
Yeah.
I got 3/4 of the way through the program and decided I didn't like it.
Oh, yeah.
So I
Not
switched
everything.
gears.
Yeah.
Exactly. It happens. I mean, we're all young. We don't really truly know. We're just coming into ourselves. So I ended up getting my healthcare aide certification and worked as a healthcare aide for a couple of years. And then I started having some minor health issues, which led to me kind of stepping back from work and focusing on my health. And then eventually it led into event planning, actually,
Oh, wow.
and administrative work, and then family building.
Oh, that's cool. I love event planning. I love it. So at what point did you transition from like going to nursing to diving into what you're doing now?
So I was in school in college in 2008 and 2009 for nursing. And I mean, that ages me a little bit, but that's okay. I can take that.
Oh my goodness.
And I started diving into my spirituality in 2021. And actually, a large part of 2021 and my spiritual awakening and growth was actually the passing of my father.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is when everything really started to ramp up. I mean, intuitively, I've been highly intuitive as long as I can remember. I was one of those people who could meet somebody new, shake their hand, and be like, oh, this marriage is going to end,
Yeah.
or oh, this is going to happen. And it didn't ever have a timeline, but eventually all of this stuff started happening. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is happening here? Like, how did I know that this was going to happen? And it's always the first time meeting somebody that these messages come to me, and I'm like, okay, let's hope this isn't real, but I'm starting to believe that it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Oh wow. So you're harnessing that right now and you're enjoying it?
I am. It's so we do family-led education, and I choose to call it that because our family leads it, but we homeschool
Oh,
our two daughters. They're 7 and 8. And so this allows me to lean into balancing our home life, but also allowing my kids something that I wasn't allowed as a child, which was as my spiritual awakening was happening as a kid. Like, I remember seeing dead people standing in the middle of the road when we were driving.
mhm.
And I remember specifically telling my parents, like, there's someone in the middle of the road, like, you have to stop, like, we're gonna hit them. And they were like, no, like, this
Yeah.
isn't a thing. And so my kids are both like, my husband and I are both spiritually awakening and pretty far into it. And now our kids are starting to go through it too.
Oh, nice.
So I feel like to be able to help them grow their gifts and intuition and everything is probably one of the greatest gifts as a parent, because we get to watch them
Oh, yeah.
every day, all day, just harness everything and soak it all in and allow it to come forward.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So they don't your children don't have any fears about
N-
no spirits or anything like that?
Not really. They're very curious.
Good.
One of our youngest she has a very strong intuition too. She can actually, like, if somebody's coming to our house and she pays attention, if she sits and pays attention without knowing how to tell time on the clock yet at this point, this was like 2 years ago,
Oh,
she would go 3, 2, 1, they're here. And I kid you not, those people will pull in the driveway as she was
oh
counting
my
down.
goodness.
And our oldest daughter, who's 8, She is, I think she's receiving messages already just based on some of the stuff that she's saying. And so she is highly emotional and very sensitive
Mhm.
and very empathetic.
Oh,
So I think that she's going to do some pretty amazing things.
oh, that's fantastic. I have this feeling you're going to be like going to your farm. There's going to be a lineup out on the road of people wanting to get in to talk to you.
I mean, that's the hope. Um, I do have to say that I'm focusing primarily on energy healing, and doing like chakra work on people because you can't heal yourself as an individual if you have blockages within your systems. So if we can unlock those
Mhm.
and open them up, then it's going to open up this world of healing, and you're going to feel that much
Yeah,
better and, able to handle everything that comes to you in your day to day.
yeah. Are you going to incorporate Reiki into your practice for energy?
Uh, Reiki, I mean, I do already. I've been working on my husband has been my
Oh,
guinea pig.
okay.
I've been working on him and between the Reiki and I use crystals
Yeah,
and help from my spirit team.
yeah.
We've been able to successfully unblock everything within him. And I am practicing and working with other individuals virtually and in person to do the same thing.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love the virtual world for helping people because then it just opens it up right across like Canada or the US or wherever you want to help someone. It's fantastic. I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah, the reach is further,
It
you can help more people. Um, okay, so what are the opportunities within your career? So if someone was curious and wanted to kind of learn as you did, what would you tell them some of the, ch opportunities or challenges or anything along those lines that they would need to know?
So there's always an opportunity for growth and transformation, and I've always led with that in every aspect of my life. And I feel that everybody should because it opens your eyes to this world of possibility. But the other thing to remember, as Tony Robbins says,
Yeah.
you have to remember that life is happening for you. It's
Hmm.
not happening to you. So when you can let go of control and allow all of the good that is coming to you to come in, it does completely like change your life in exponential ways. But the way to harness it the best is if you have access to somebody who can help guide you or mentor you or teach you in any capacity to harness those gifts that you've been given, take that.
Yeah.
I recently finished 6 weeks of mentorship with a psychic medium, and her program was specifically designed to leaning into your intuition, figuring out how you're supposed to read cards, move forward, uh, how to, start your business, do all the things. And if you can find somebody that you trust to do that and invest in yourself, because without investing in yourself, there's not a lot of growth.
Yeah. Yeah. It's finding that person.
Those would be the best.
Yeah. Finding that person that you just instantly know you feel that connection. Yeah. That's important. Yeah. I think
Exactly.
taking your time to, don't rush it until you do find that right person to mentor with. Yeah. That's important.
It
Um,
is. And don't rush it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you have is just embrace every day that you're learning something. It's fantastic. I love it. I love learning. I love taking my time. I love, just welcoming all the abundance from what you are learning. It's fantastic.
I
So,
agree.
so are you going to aim at doing some mentorship with others?
I do feel down the road that mentorship is completely in my wheelhouse. I have always learned Oh my gosh. I've always loved learning, is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say. But I've also always loved teaching. Um, I really enjoy homeschooling with my kids. I really enjoy the opportunity to teach them life skills and, learning to look for that little glimmer of beauty in every moment of every day. And I feel like there's so much to be said about that kind of mindset shift in everybody that there is definitely a possibility for teaching in the future. I am actually working on my spiritual life coach program,
Oh, nice.
um, so that I can start working with people in more than just an energetic
Hmm.
space.
Yeah.
We can actually talk things out.
Yeah, there's a lot of healing that's needed out there in the world.
There really is.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Are you gonna plan any retreats or anything on your property?
So in the future, there will be retreats 100%. When we first got to the property in 2021, there's a little orchard out back.
Oh,
And I remember it had just finished raining and it was like early spring, probably around May. And you could smell the cherry blossoms, you could smell that fresh rain. And I always walk barefoot, and I always have my entire life. I hate socks and I hate shoes.
yeah.
So you could feel like I could feel that grass underneath my feet. And I was in such a vulnerable state. I didn't really know how to take anything that was coming in intuitively and through my guides. And at that time, I didn't understand what it was. So I received a message, and I've received it several times since, that I will hold healing retreats on this property because it does have something magical about it. And those retreats will be specific to women healing themselves with trauma.
Oh, good. Perfect. Yeah, nature, yeah, you can't beat it. Anything like walking barefoot or hugging a tree. Like I'll never forget. I went to Nelson, BC, and I found this cool bookstore. And I was going through a really bad time in my life, but I went in there, and the lady right away recognized that. And she looked at me, she goes, "You know what you need to do is just go hug a tree." And I said, "Oh, okay." So when I got home, I hugged that tree, and I tell you, it is without a doubt the most amazing experience you'll ever do in your life.
It is. It really truly is.
So when you have trees on your farm
Yeah.
and all that, oh my gosh, like the healing that could be happening. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah,
I have the healing is insane. I have one spot that I go out and sit near a tree at the base of it, and it's where I do my deep thinking, where I go to get answers. And it is like you say, it's like you can feel the life force beneath you,
yeah,
grounding you into that tree and kind of melding your roots to the tree's roots and just like anchoring you in.
yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I hurry up and do the retreat because I want to go and enjoy. It just sounds like I can just picture it. I mean, I've never been around to your place or anything. This is the first time we're seeing each other face to face, and I can just see it already, the peace and calm that it can bring to someone. So yeah, that's amazing, Lindsay. I'm very happy for you.
Thank you.
It's something fun. And for your kids too. Oh man, do they play out there a lot?
They start their morning outside, actually.
Great.
Cold, wind, rain, it doesn't matter what it is. It's, I think, -10 today, and they started their morning outside playing in. We have a dog pool for dogs, and it's frozen over, and they are taking their toys out there and they're playing out there every day,
Oh,
multiple times a day for, 30 minutes to an hour at a time. And it's the best gift that they can do is have that innocent childhood that I
yeah.
remember having. And a lot of kids aren't gifted with that now.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Um, so I want to ask you another question here. Um, with regards to hobbies, so do you look at where you live as a hobby? like with what you do with homesteading, or do you look at it as your lifestyle, or are they combined?
I would say it's a combination of both. I got into canning, like I said, as a teenager with my grandma and my mom, and it quickly blossomed into like even when we were living in Alberta, I
Yeah.
was going to the local U-Picks and making the jams and the pickles and all the things, but it's like next level here.
Yeah.
I'm growing a it's like I think our garden space is like 600 square, like 600
Oh
by
my
600 feet.
goodness.
And we've got 50 fruit trees, 50 berry bushes, and we keep adding. So goats is a new thing,
Yeah.
and I'm learning how to make all kinds of products with goat's milk for
Yeah.
our family. And that is definitely a hobby. I wouldn't say that that's necessarily lifestyle at this point. It's a hobby still.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
haven't gotten it down packed. But I would definitely say it is a combination of both because it's encompassing everything that I love to do and turning it into something that benefits our life.
That's cool. And you know what? I'm sure a lot of people, after listening to this, they'll think, oh, I didn't realize I could have a hobby out of what I do in my life.
It's true.
A lot of people get stuck thinking, well, what can I do for a hobby? When really you just have to kind
Yeah,
of look around a little bit, and see what you can change up, or add.
exactly. And I mean, there's so much. We have a beautiful mountain scene right outside all of our windows.
Oh, no.
And if you follow me on my personal Instagram, there is like photo upon photo upon photo of this mountain view. And I mean, even something like that, that's considered a hobby, taking photos of
Absolutely.
something you love to look at. It's a hobby.
Yeah.
I don't want to monetize that hobby
Yeah.
because I don't want to go out and buy the big expensive camera and everything. Like I just want to take in the beauty and remember that beauty because it's part of where I came from and it's part of where I am, but it's still a hobby.
Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, I love the nature pictures. So, with the hobby, so with your children and making hobbies out there, have they been creative on their own to create a hobby?
So they are currently interested in
Oh, nice.
crocheting. They are also into drawing, so they're doing a lot of online art classes.
Oh, good.
And our oldest really loves reading. So any chance she gets, we're going to the library, we're getting new books, all the things fostering that learning. The other thing that we love to do as a family is getting out in nature. We go wild mushroom foraging, we go medicinal plant foraging, we go down to the beach and look for uh our area is really well known for quartz.
Or
So
oh yeah.
we can go down to the beach and find like milky quartz and smoky quartz
Oh, nice.
pieces just on the beach that have been naturally tumbled in the river. We
That's
Yeah, so
amazing.
we have a lot of small little hobbies that we take part in.
That's cool. Oh my gosh. That's so lucky to be able to find your quartz just right there in nature,
It is I
where it's intended.
exactly. I have so much of it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so what you've learned through your life, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, well, we've been through a rocky life. Um, and I would say that it doesn't matter how hard life gets or how shoved down you are and close to rock bottom, it's worth climbing up
Yeah. Oh yeah.
because there is brightness at the end of that dark, damp tunnel.
Yeah, that's for sure. Staying focused on, because I always say everything is temporary.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think that you're going through a tough time, you instantly think this is going to be permanent, and then it stays with you. But if you say,
Exactly.
okay, well, tomorrow it'll be even that less, I'm getting closer and closer to getting out of the rut, or
Eh,
seeing
yeah.
the light. So that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool. Um, so I have one other question for you.
Of course.
So what is your biggest passion in your life?
Definitely helping people.
Yeah.
That is actually why I wanted to become a nurse, was to be able to help people at all stages of their lives. That being said, that shift in me to help people hit a different level when I was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh,
So I was diagnosed in 2018
oh,
and had to fight literally tooth and nail for my life. For the first 2 months of treatment, I just about died a couple of
oh
times.
my
It
goodness,
was,
Lindsay. I had no
and
idea.
I'm laughing about it now.
Oh,
Um, because it's now like I recognize that this was all part of it, right? This is all
yeah.
part of me getting to the point where I can truly help people. But in that time, I had to have a temporary ileostomy.
Okay.
And this is something that a lot of people live with when they have Crohn's disease or colitis, varying degrees of IBS.
Okay.
And mine was temporary, but I knew, and I remember the conversation with my surgeon. He said, Lindsay's like, the only option we have right now is to give you an ileostomy because you're bleeding out.
Oh,
And we can't do anything else to stop it except to do this surgery. And I remember looking him straight in the eyes and saying, okay, well, I'll use it to teach people, to educate people, whatever. I don't care.
oh,
And so for the 22 months that I had my ileostomy, I used it to teach people how to love the body that they are given and love
oh,
the skin they're in. And I partnered with my friend Erica at EFP Studios in Innisfail, Alberta.
yep.
And we did this photo shoot and interview and everything. And it ended up going on all of the news stations. Like we were interviewed by Global and CBC, and it was in all of the local papers and everything. And I actually had a lot of people reach out to me and said, like I read your article and I saw your story and watched the video. And I want you to know, like, after 10 years of living with my ileostomy or colostomy and not telling anyone I had it, I
Oh,
told my family.
yeah.
And so these were the moments where I was like, okay, I'm like, this is something. Teaching people
Yeah.
and getting people to step out of their discomfort and encouraging them in a way that was inspiring, but
Yeah.
also just like giving them that little gentle push
Yeah.
opened up this whole new realm for people where they're now fully supported and their lives have changed because they were able to step out of that zone that little bubble they've kept themselves in. And so that kind of spurred the need to really figure out how to help people.
That's amazing. Um, yeah, that your story's amazing. Have you thought of working with palliative care with like your energy work?
I actually hadn't thought about that. I had applied to a job here to work with, to support the families who had somebody in palliative care.
Mhm.
That was close to after the time my dad had passed away.
Okay.
And the lady who was going to interview me, I knew from growing up here. And
Oh,
she said, Lindsay, she's like, I don't think you're ready for this.
yeah.
She's like, you need to take more time. And I'm grateful she said that to me because there was no way I was ready for it.
Yeah.
But I do feel that there is something that can be done for people in palliative care in the way that I'm seeing how, you know, it looks like I'm hovering my hands above you, but
Yeah.
it's doing so much more than that. And I think that there could be a way to utilize that power and that energy to support people and maybe even like lessen their pain or,
Yeah.
you know, something, even if it's a minuscule thing in their grand scheme, it could be something to help them.
Yeah. I think it would bring comfort and a sense of peace and calm as they're transitioning, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, just to kind of calm the anxiety, you know,
Yeah.
and just to feel that freedom, that energy healing and energy work brings. It just kind of turns the brain off, so you don't really, you're not thinking of all the stressful things. You're actually just really enjoying a sense of peace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is something I'm going to look into. So thank you for that idea
Oh,
because
you're
I
welcome.
think that could be highly beneficial.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's part of you want, when you're saying goodbye to your loved ones, you want them to not worry and to
Hmm.
be as at peace as possible. But I find using Reiki or an energy healing or just holding. I used to hold my dad's feet when he was in the hospice, and that alone just calmed him right down, and instead of having
Yeah.
panic and anxiety. So it's important to make sure that their last moments are very peaceful. And if we can contribute to that and bringing them some peace, that's wonderful. I know you do amazing with that. I can have a good feeling about that if you were to, maybe on call, like if a family was struggling, with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very.
I could see that too.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, it's been lovely talking to you, Lindsay. I really appreciate it. And I hope I can have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's we're gonna be filming our second season um in June. So
Okay.
I'd love to have you back on. And maybe we can
That
talk,
sounds amazing.
yeah, what you're doing and how you progress with your practice and if you're that much closer to the retreat. Because
That retreat is on my 3-year goal list.
oh,
So it's coming. But thank you so much for having me here. It's been such a delight to speak to you today, and I'm grateful
oh,
for the
thank you,
opportunity.
Lindsay. Okay, well, have a great day.
You as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us at the Three Moons, Three Souls podcast.